What's up, everybody? Tonight we're going to talk about Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul next weekend and more when we come right back. Welcome to another episode of Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. I am Bean, and tonight we're going to jump right into this boxing talk. We had a little delay because here in Cincinnati, it's that time of year, man. We get hit with that snow and things get slow. You know, it affects the traffic and everything else. So let's go ahead and jump right on in and talk about Moses and Tuma versus Jermaine Franklin. Um, that's going to be a good fight next month in January. And it's definitely going to be a good step up fight for Moses and Tuma, up and coming UK fighter under Frank Warren. And they're moving his career steady and perfectly. You know what I'm saying? They're not pushing him too fast, and they're not necessarily pushing him too slow. They're pushing him, I think, just right. I know a lot of people want to see him jump up in opposition, but you don't want a situation like a Daniel Dubois versus Joe Joyce. You don't want like a Zilly Zhang versus Ajit Kabiel. You know what I mean? You kind of want to let them. Whereas, I mean, that wasn't the best example because Zilly Zhang's a little bit older, but we'll use Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce because Daniel Dubois, as he was moving up in his career, he made that jump up to fight Joe Joyce and came up short. You don't want young Moses and Tuma to have to go through that right now. I think the perfect step up would be Jermaine Franklin. And if he can ace that test, then he'll be able to step up to, higher opposition, like anything else. It takes a little bit of time. So there's no need to necessarily rush him too fast. Just keep him at a nice and steady pace. And make sure you hit the thumbs up, please. Hit that thumbs up. I was on YouTube and I saw footage of Andy Ruiz back in camp. Andy the Destroyer Ruiz, who was most known for his upset victory stoppage over Anthony Joshua. Well, he's back in camp and he's with Manny Robles. His old trainer and him done merged back up again, and they will be making history, I believe, again in the future. I think they're a good pair. They have a good chemistry. Manny Robles understands the psychology, the mental side of Andy Ruiz. He also understands his techniques and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's just a good matchup, as far as a team, the boxer and the trainer. Whoever he chooses to fight, he'll make it a rough night for anybody. Because Andy Ruiz, much like Jermaine Franklin, he hasn't been knocked out. Every fight he loses as a decision. So basically, no other puncher, some of the biggest punchers, have yet to knock out Andy Ruiz. That shows his mental fortitude, and that shows how good of a chin he really has. So shout outs to Andy Ruiz, and hopefully this time he's here for keeps. You know what I mean? This time he'll be consistent. This time he'll be fighting at least every 6 months, if not every 4 months. We need to see an active Andy Ruiz keep shining and keep doing his thing. And also, Andy Ruiz has been, every time he gets an opportunity, he's bringing up Anthony Joshua. for two reasons. It's going to be a good payday, and he knows that he beat Anthony Joshua before in the first fight, so he feels like in the rematch he let himself down, that he came in overweight, and that it was because of the things he didn't do in the rematch is why he didn't beat Anthony Joshua again. Me personally, I feel like Anthony Joshua lost that first fight, but now that he knows the style of Andy Ruiz, he kind of knows that he needs to be more weary. He knows he has fast hands. He knows he's a pressure fighter. So I think AJ knows Andy Ruiz's style, whereas before he fought him the first time, he did not know what to expect. You know what I'm saying? It was definitely the element of surprise played a huge pivotal role in why Andy Ruiz was able to defeat Anthony Joshua. Also in boxing news, I saw the WBC cancels Joshua Buatsi versus Ben Whitaker final eliminator. And then in small print, I saw Ben Whitaker is expected to make a debut over here in America. I'm not sure, I'm not privy on who his opponent would be from over here in America, but that's good for him. That's good for any boxer over in over there across the pond in UK trying to make a name over in the US. Hey, when you make your debut though, you need to make sure you make a statement. You need to make sure you shine. So hopefully, whoever he chooses to fight over here in America, good luck to him. Good luck to Ben Whitaker. So let me know what y'all think as y'all come into the chat room. And like I said, make sure y'all hit that thumbs up. All right. So another thing I've been seeing on Twitter, YouTube, when it comes to boxing, is Keyshawn Davis going back and forth with Richardson Hitchens. I like that, and I think it's definitely going to be a good build up for them to eventually fight. I don't know if they're going to fight in 2026, but hopefully, and most likely, I would like to think that they would fight next year. Both, at 140, and both at the top of their game. So why not? Why not Keyshawn Davis and versus Richardson Hitchens? If that does happen, hypothetically, I want to know, how does it go? How does it play out? Let me know in the chat, please. Also, a couple days ago, I believe that was Friday night, Kubrat Pulev fought Murat Gassiev. I mean, pretty much Pulev was very predictable in that fight. He definitely has, basic fundamentals that he used, but you don't want to be so basic that it's so telling. You know what I'm saying? He was just doing a left right most of the every round. Left right, every blue moon, throw a hook in there. He was so basic and so predictable. It was just a matter of time before Gassiev was going to catch him. And that's just how it went. You know what I'm saying? He did that for 5 rounds. He came into the 6th round throwing his simple 1-2, 1-2, and eventually he caught a left hook from Gassiev that sent him crashing to the canvas in round number 6. Now, to be fair, Pulev is the age of 44. For a boxer, the age of 44 it's up there. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are exceptions in the past. You can talk about what Bernard Hopkins was able to do prior to the last fight when he got knocked out the ring by a younger opponent. But the comeback historical of time of George Foreman in his 40s came back into boxing and fought some top and tough opposition and was able to give these guys a hard run, even for like people like Evander Holyfield that were young and in their prime. George Foreman, he gave them hell in that ring, you know. But then again, speaking on those terms, when it comes to like a George Foreman or certain fighters, I don't put Pulev on that level. He's not nothing even close on the level of a George Foreman. So I don't expect for Pulev at 44 to be able to do what George Foreman could do at age 44. Some people are just special. Um, Now, also on that same card of Moses and Tuma versus Jermaine Franklin will be the light heavyweight division. Ezra Taylor, 13 wins, no losses, no draws, versus Willie Hutchinson, 19 wins, 2 losses, no draws. They will be on the undercard of Moses and Tuma versus Jermaine Franklin. I can't necessarily say right now who I feel is going to win. I have to do more in depth research and do some film study on on um on Willie Hutchins to kind of give people a better breakdown um of how Willie Hutchinson is going to do versus Ezra Taylor. But I do like what I see from Ezra Taylor. I know he's been training with um Deontay Wilder's ex trainer, aka his brother, Malik Scott. So hopefully whatever they got going on is a good chemistry with those two. And we'll see if Ezra Taylor will be one of those next up and coming light heavyweight fighters out of UK. But right now, as it stands, there's some pretty tough guys in that division there. But some of those guys are on the tail end of their career. So a person like Baturviev, Ezra Taylor, he'll probably never fight somebody like that. Bivol probably has a few years left in the game. Um, so we'll see. Of course, David Benavidez is there, but right now, David Benavidez, he would be too much for Ezra Taylor. It would be too soon for Ezra Taylor right now, in my opinion. All right, so let me delve in a little bit on a interview with the Breakfast Club that they actually interviewed Shakur Stevenson and they did an interview. These were separate interviews. Interview with Tefime Lopez and they did an interview with Shakur Stevenson on the same day. All right, so we're gonna talk a little bit about both of these guys since they're gonna fight each other, right? All right, so Tio Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson. It will take place January the 31st of this upcoming next year. Tefimo says he sees things he can exploit when it comes to Shakur Stevenson. Um, he was telling Charlemagne the God that he sees certain leaks in the defense of Shakur Stevenson. He said the the defense of Shakur Stevenson is not all that folks think it is. Um, he said Shakur also has mental flaws that he can exploit as well. And he kind of brought up the Williams Zepeda fight. He was saying that that was a prime example that he let fans criticize him so much that he felt the need to go fight Williams Zepeda and switch up his style to suit the criticism that he was getting from fans. Now, of course, Shakur Stevenson had a rebuttal. He basically was saying that, nah, I'm not mentally weak like he thinks that I am. And basically, once he steps in the ring with me, it's a lot different than watching me on TV. So he basically is saying that once Tafime steps in the ring with him, it's going to be a situation to where he's like, oh man, it done got real. You know what I mean? Shout outs to Brody James, Cuzzo, good looking. I appreciate you, family. And everybody, hit that thumbs up, please. Now Shakur Stevenson, like I said, he did an interview with Breakfast Club as well. He said on behalf of Tafime Lopez, Shakur said he knows T.O. believes in himself. He sees Shakur as another big moment in his legacy. Shakur's response to T.O. saying his defense has leaks was that T.O. never been in the ring with him and old sparring doesn't mean much. He also mentioned the Sandor Martin fight and said that Sandor Martin gave Tafime Lopez issues as well. Shakur doubled down because on Cigar Talk podcast as well as Breakfast Club, Shakur stated after his Tafime Lopez win, he's got to be top 5 pound for pound. Shakur said that if he wins, he pretty much saying he's going to win. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. You got to be a confident fighter. So he's pretty much saying when I beat Tafime Lopez, they have to put me in the record books and say I'm a top 5 pound for pound fighter. Now, some people will not agree with that. They may think that Shakur's a good fighter, but not a top 5 pound for pound fighter. And it's subjective, you know what I mean? Some people might feel like he belongs there, and some are going to say, well, he has to show me more. He has to fight a little bit more opposition. That right now, Tafime is definitely a step in the right direction, but we need to see him fight a few more fighters. Now, we may never ever get Shakur Stevenson versus Tank Davis, because right now we don't know where Tank Davis is mentally or what his struggles may be at the time. But he's saying he's not going to stay at 140, that he's going to fight Tafime at 140 and go back to 135. But let's just speak on a hypothetical sense. Say he stays at 140 just for a handful of fights. I would love to see Shakur Stevenson fight Frank Martin. I would like to see him fight Richardson Hitchens. He's not going to fight Keyshawn Davis because they're like brothers. So that'll X that one out. But there's a couple of people at 140 he could fight. Lamont Roach. That'd be another good fight. Shakur Stevenson versus Lamont Roach. Shakur Stevenson versus Pitbull Cruz. There's a couple of good fights that would be great to see Shakur fight those style opponents. So let me know what y'all think in the chat, because here at Ringwalk Boxing Podcast, all opinions matter, and I just want to know what's on your mind when it comes to talking boxing. Now Shakur, he also talked about he felt Lamont Roach Jr. beat Pitbull when they fought. To that, I personally disagree. I felt like Pitbull Cruz won that fight. I felt like Lamont Roach waited too late to start to pick up the pace. He was already down like 5 rounds before he even started doing anything. So I don't feel like Lamont Roach won that fight because he did not decisively win from round 6 to round 12. And by that time, Pitbull Cruz already had 5 rounds in the bag, especially the round that he dropped him. So I don't see where people can say that Lamont Roach won the fight. Or a draw was fair. You know, a draw was definitely fair. Now, when it came to Lamont Roach Jr. and it came to Tafime, Shakur said T.O. fight was more lucrative and it was a bigger stage than him versus Lamont Roach Jr. But he said Lamont Roach Jr. is someone he loved to share the ring with in the future. He said they have a cool relationship, so he believes that he will fight Lamont Roach at some point in his career. Shakur reiterated in that interview on Breakfast Club, he said he wants to be the best. He said he also talked about Jake Paul. He said Jake Paul is a really good dude. He was saying how Paul moved to a lane trying to elevate women boxing to new heights, where they get bigger paydays. The MVP movement is shining. Shakur said he's known T.O. for years as well. And he said Tafime gets overlooked and that T.O. is trying to get in that spotlight. Shakur said some of the over the top antics by Tafime is just his way of trying to be like, hey, I'm over here, y'all. Look at me. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like he's doing that for that type of clout. So he's saying a lot of things that are kind of over the top and things that you'll be like, whoa, he's taking it too far. Why did he say something like that? But Shakur said it's all part of his game plan. They also asked him on the Breakfast Club, would Shakur be attending the AJ versus Jake Paul? And Shakur replied, no, he will not be there because he'll be too focused on his own fight with Teofimo Lopez, and he'll be in camp, and he's taking this fight very seriously. So he won't be able to make the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua on Friday, this upcoming Friday, the 19th. Now, speaking of women's boxing, Claressa Shields will be fighting in Detroit, Michigan, not too far from her hometown of Flint, Michigan. Claressa Shields will fight a rematch with Franchon Crews-Dezurn on February 22nd, like I said, in Detroit, Michigan. Shields will defend her undisputed heavyweight titles in this match. Personally, I would have to say I think Claressa Shields will win this fight. But I think she will win it in a similar fashion as majority of her fights. She normally wins on a decision because she's a very polished fighter. As far as I'm not speaking of her personality. I'm speaking of what she actually does in the ring, right? She has that polish. She has nice angles. She has nice speed, and she moves well. Decent upper body movement and all that. Head movement. So I feel like she's going to win by a decision because her knockout ratio is not really high. I don't think she's going to stop Franchon, but I think that she will beat her on the scorecards. Now, I think the fight that we're more intrigued about, me speaking for myself and maybe for the masses out there, I don't know. Let me know. That's why we're here at Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. Would like your opinion in the chat. The fight I'm more intrigued about with Claressa Shields is her fighting Shadasia Green. That's the first fight I want to see. Shadasia Green. And then the second greatest fight for her would be her rematch with the lady who knocked her down, who dropped her in the very first fight. The only person to ever drop her, Hannah Gabriel. I think Hannah Gabriel rematch versus Clarissa would be better than the first fight because I think both of these fighters have grown since that time. I feel like Hannah Gabriel will make adjustments and be better, but I also see Clarissa being better because since that time she's had fought people like Savannah Marshall and different ones. So that'll be a good fight to see. You know what I'm saying? To put a stamp on her legacy. Um, so we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. Um, because we know, like I said, in the beginning of 2026, she's gonna fight Franchon. So hopefully, in that same year, she'll be fighting either Hannah Gabriel in 2026, or she'll be fighting Shadeja Green. Also, since we're on the topic of ladies in the women boxing, let's talk about the sister of Daniel Dubois, Caroline Dubois. She has recently signed with MVP, so now she's down with the same promotion that Jake Paul has going with the female boxers, and hopefully they're taking care of her. I'm pretty sure they are. Uh, going to compensate her very well, but she'll be fighting on that card this Friday as well. So it's going to be cool to see the sister of Daniel Dubois get her shine over here in America, fighting down in Miami, Florida. I want to say this might be her debut here in America, so that would be good for her. It's good all the way around on a marketing level. Um, it's going to raise her profile, especially if she wins, which I think she will. And then on that same card from Ohio, Fremont, Ohio, we have Alicia Bumgarner. She'll be fighting this Friday as well. So, when it comes to Alicia and Caroline Dubois, that would be a good matchup. They both have power, both strong. One from UK, one from here in Ohio, USA. Um, that would be a good fight, y'all. That would be a fight to see. So let me know what y'all think. We just speaking, some things are happening for sure, but then some things are just me talking hypothetically. So if we get Caroline Dubois versus Alicia Bumgarner in the future, what would your prediction be? How would that fight play out? Let me know in the chat, please. Um, yeah, just let me know what y'all think, please. And make sure you please hit that thumbs up. Even if you don't, if you're not on this live right now and you catch this live at a later date, it still helps me when you hit that thumbs up. So I appreciate you just taking a quick time, hit that thumbs up one time. And since we're talking about Daniel Dubois a little bit and AJ, let's talk about Deontay Wilder first. We're going to get to the Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul here in a little bit. But let's talk about the Bronze Bomber Wilder coming out of Alabama, America, USA. Deontay Wilder, who has 40 plus fights. He has like a 95 or 92% knockout ratio, something really high like that. Well, I've been following a lot of his recent interviews, and Deontay Wilder seems to be very elated at the fact that he was called out by the former two-time undisputed champ Alexander Usyk, hailing from Ukraine. Wilder said, "Hey, this is an opportunity that if we can make it happen, I'm all game for it." Um, so if that fight happens next year, Wilder versus Alexander Usyk, how do you see it playing out? A lot of people still believe in the power of the right hand of Deontay Wilder. A lot of people still feel like he still has a small margin, a small chance that he can land his right hand on Usyk and be victorious. Whereas a lot of people, and I'm a lot of people on that side, on the side of a lot of people, I feel like the skill level of Usyk is like second to none. Um, yeah, Wilder has fought a southpaw. He fought what? What's his name? He fought Luis Ortiz. But Luis Ortiz is not a technical fighter like Usyk. Um, Not that Ortiz has no skills at all, but Luis Ortiz has never fought at a level like Usyk has. Um, Jennings his best win, and then he fought Wilder and was knocked out twice by Wilder. Now think about this: Usyk has fought, Chaz Witherspoon, then he went up to Chisora, and then right after that he went straight into two fights with Anthony Joshua. He beats Anthony Joshua twice, then he fights Dubois. He beats Dubois twice, and he beats Tyson Fury twice. Those three names alone kind of sets him apart from anything that Luis Ortiz has ever accomplished. Yeah, I just don't see to where what Wilder could really do. I mean, other than a puncher's chance. Other than a puncher's chance, I don't see anything else that Wilder can do to secure a victory over Usyk. But I would like to know your opinion because, like I say, y'all's opinions, it matters. It's an open platform here, and all opinions are welcome. So I want to know what y'all think. Now, also on social media and stuff like that, speaking of Deontay Wilder, I saw him facing off with the UK legend Derek Chisora, aka War Chisora, aka Del Boy. Del Boy is no pushover. Del Boy has fought just about every big name in boxing, win or lose. Win, lose, or draw, he's fought these guys. He fought Joseph Parker, arguably beat Joseph Parker in the first fight, and he dropped Joseph Parker in the first fight. Del Boy has fought Usyk. Del Boy, I want to say, had fought. I don't know. Instead of me just saying I think or whatever, let's go to his box rec. Let's get this real accurate, y'all. You know me, I like to get the facts for y'all. So we're gonna check out your boy Del Boy real quick. Just to know, let y'all know what we dealing with. Because Wilder has never fought at a level like Derek Chisora. I mean, sure, we can say Derek Chisora does have 13 losses, 36 wins, 23 by KO. But let's look at the crazy turbulent career of Del Boy. Way back in 2016, he fought Kubrat Pulev, who we just saw fight this past Friday. He lost by a split decision. He fought Dillian White in 2016. Del Boy lost by a split decision. He fought Ajit Kabiel in 2017 and lost by a decision loss on there. He beat Carlos Takam in 2018. He fought Dillian White again and lost by knockout in 2018. Del Boy fought common opponent Arthur Spilka, one of Deontay Wilder's opponents. He won by knockout. He fought David Price, who some say Tyson Fury ducked. But anyway, in 2019, David Price lost by TKO to Del Boy. 2020, Del Boy fights Usyk, a loss by a unanimous decision. And like I said, he fought Joseph Parker and lost by a split decision in the first fight in 2021. But some people feel like Del Boy edged that win, and he got knocked down. Of course, in the rematch, it was a total opposite. Joseph Parker dropped Del Boy 2 or 3 times. He fought Kubrat Pulev again in 2022, and this time Del Boy gets the win. He fought Tyson Fury in 2022 and was TKO'd. Then he fought Gerald Washington in 2023, won by unanimous decision. 2024, he beat Joe Joyce, won by unanimous decision. Del Boy wins. And then Del Boy beats Otto Wallin in 2025. So look at all those big name opponents he's fought, win or lose. Wilder is not going to just, I don't think, walk over Del Boy like people think. Del Boy is tough, a tough night's work for anybody. And to me, he's not no warm-up fight. I mean, although he is considered a gatekeeper, he's not a pushover type. And I think if Wilder thinks he's just going to walk in there and destroy Del Boy, it could backfire. It could definitely backfire. Some people feel that Del Boy will stop Deontay Wilder, and that Deontay Wilder will never get a Usyk shot if he chooses to fight Del Boy first, and looks at Del Boy as a tune-up fight. But I want to know y'all opinion. You know what I'm saying? What y'all think? Please let me know. Let me know in the chat, please. So we talked about Del Boy, Wilder versus Usyk. Now let's jump into Friday's fight on Netflix. The main event. Anthony AJ Joshua, hailing from UK, United Kingdom, versus Jake Paul, who hails out of Cleveland, Ohio. All right. On my Saturday segment, I went over Jake Paul's resume. I also went over the resume of Anthony Joshua on Saturday. So if you go back to my Saturday show, I'm on there for like 2 hours long. I talk about the resume of Anthony Joshua, and I talk about the resume of Jake Paul. So being that I talked about that on Saturday, I'm not going to go through the whole resume of these guys. But let's just talk about a couple of their fights, and let's talk about their skill level. Jake Paul did lose to Tommy Fury on a decision. And I want to say Tommy Fury is ranked like globally number 67. He was able to beat Jake Paul. I would not give him much of a chance of beating Anthony Joshua. I wouldn't give Tommy Fury much of a chance of beating AJ. So I'm definitely not giving Jake Paul much of a chance either. I know we talk about a puncher's chance, but do we get kind of carried away when we talk about a puncher's chance? Because a puncher's chance to me is like a Deontay Wilder, a person you see with a high knockout ratio that if by chance he lands that punch flush, you're not going to get back up. Jake Paul to me doesn't have that one punch knockout power like that. Not saying he doesn't have decent power, but I don't think it's like a Daniel Dubois power or like a Anthony Joshua power. Um, it may be like a Tyson Fury level of power. Um, but we'll just look at his knockout ratio real quick just to see. All right, Jake Paul. 12 wins, 7 by knockout, 1 loss by Tommy Fury, and no draws. So his knockout ratio is 58%. Anthony Joshua's knockout ratio, 89%. And of that 89%, we can count on one hand how many people were notable names that Anthony Joshua knocked out. I could probably name them without even looking on my phone to research it. I could probably say what? Povetkin. AJ knocked him out. AJ knocked out Dillian White when he was undefeated. Charles Martin wasn't necessarily a great champion, but AJ did knock him out. AJ stopped Klitschko, and I know he fought Usyk twice, but those were both losses. He did knock out Kubrat Pulev, but he's not necessarily a top name. He stopped Otto Wallin. Let me see. Let's get a quick. There's one more name I need to get. I'll speak about Anthony Joshua. Yeah, 25 knockouts out of 28 wins, 4 losses. 2 losses by the same person. 1 by Ruiz, 2 by Usyk, and 1 by Daniel Dubois. So even if we don't say everybody is a top level guy, like Alexander Povetkin, he was a little bit older, but he's definitely a notable name. AJ TKO stopped him. Like I said, he stopped Vladimir Klitschko and Dillian White. So that's about 3 people that I would say at the top height of Dillian White in the prime that AJ fought him. I personally couldn't see Jake Paul beating Dillian White. That version of Dillian White, I think, beats Jake Paul. I think Povetkin, that version that fought AJ, I think that Alexander Povetkin version would beat Jake Paul. So of the names that AJ has fought, the best chances that somebody like Jake Paul might have a chance of winning, he might be Eric Molina. Jake Paul, he could probably beat Dominic Breazeale, and he could possibly beat Charles Martin. But from 2016 on up through the career of AJ, I don't really see anybody on that list that I feel like Jake Paul could beat. I think this is going to be, if it's real and not a fix, I feel like Anthony Joshua stops Jake Paul within 6 minutes. 3-minute rounds, 2 rounds, 6 minutes, I think he stops him within 2 rounds. If Anthony Joshua cannot stop Jake Paul within 2 rounds, I'm going to feel like it's a fix. Now, if Jake Paul hits a Hail Mary and somebody and by some chance he throws one of those punches that hits AJ and it does the unthinkable and AJ doesn't recover or AJ gets knocked out, then I think that it's safe to say that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt Anthony Joshua. And speaking of Anthony Joshua, on the horizon for next year, we have Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury supposed to lock in a fight. So, you know, it would be very risky and very crazy if it was an upset and Jake Paul had his hand raised on this Friday night. I get it. It is boxing and anything can happen. And these are heavyweight guys. These are big guys. So a punch from a guy 200 plus pounds, if it lands right, it could be a good night, right? But I just don't foresee Jake Paul doing the unthinkable. I don't. I mean, now you may differ and you may think that he could. Hey, that's fine. But let me know y'all predictions in the chat or in the comment area. Let me know. And that's pretty much it, y'all. I really appreciate everybody that came on tonight and everybody that happens to catch this on the rebound, because I know over in UK and other parts of the world it might be midnight, 1 o'clock or whatever. So hopefully y'all can run this back tomorrow or sometime this week before the actual fight, which would be Friday. Because I want to know y'all opinions. I want to know y'all predictions. But I got Anthony Joshua by knockout round 2. I'm gonna stick with that sentiment that AJ is going to stop Jake Paul in round 2. I would like to know your opinion. And like always, we'll be back here next Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the USA. In the description area below, we have the link tree. We have the online store. And they distribute merch all over the world. So they'll deliver it right to your doorstep. We also have a donation Venmo area there. So if you want to help the channel grow, we do have a donation area. Jake James, hey, God bless you as well, brother. I appreciate that. Please hit the thumbs up for me, please. We're going to be back here every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in America. And we look forward this Friday to see that Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua for sure. Because the undercard is going to be nice too. There's going to be a lot of, like I say, a lot of female boxers on there. A couple of them making their debut over here in America. So it's going to be a sight to see. I'm really looking forward to this Friday night. And it's going to be on Netflix. So shout out to Netflix and everybody doing their thing to make this big fight card happen. All right, so wherever you are in this world, y'all be safe, be blessed, and I will catch y'all on the next round. Peace.